Okay, I hope you guys could actually hear me. I realized before I went live that I probably should have probably should have done something with this is really lagging. How well can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Am I moving or is my lip synced and everything? Maybe I should shut some of this shit in the background down. But the audio is like really bad though, right? Like not the best audio, could be better. I'm gonna have to get this all sorted out. We can hear you okay, it's all fine to me, and the audio is okay. All right. So much like my last stuff, thank you for confirming that you guys can hear me. I'm going to hide the chat so I don't get distracted. Um so I'm really glad that I figured out that I can sort of just come here and do these live broadcasts because it's making my life so much easier. And I wanted to fucking talk about something, and I also wanted to like be less disgusting with my makeup taking off because of course, much like the last broadcast I did, I'm starting this broadcast from a space of going out the night before, getting drunk, passing out in my makeup, and not taking my makeup off. So yeah. Um I have a lot of things in my mind and I have a lot of stuff I want to say. And one of the big reasons why I'm making this video just right now is because it's on my mind and I want to talk about it and then kind of like leave it so I can move the fuck on. You guys know that a lot of times when I do these like live broadcast rants type videos, a lot of it's because I have something on my spirit that I want to get out. And I've had kind of a rough week, to be honest with you guys. I've had kind of a rough week. If you guys were on my last broadcast, you guys know that in the middle of my broadcast, I got a message from a guy who I was supposed to go on a date with tonight. And he was like, well, I basically canceled on me. He canceled our date. And this was really frustrating for me because one of the big things I'm kind of, so being polyamorous is interesting because everyone communicates, right? And everyone is just working on better ways of communicating. And everyone is very aware of the fact that relationships are happier and healthier when you communicate. And sometimes there are times where I just wish we could do the monogamous thing where we're lying to each other, but we're obliging each other because sometimes, I don't know, at least I would have gotten, like, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm the sort of person where, like, if I put my energy towards something happening, it's very, very hard for me to get out of my expectation of what I was supposed to do. And expectations and measuring my expectations has definitely been an issue for me as a poly person. Maybe I'll tell you guys a story about that later. Actually, it's going to be super relevant to this. Actually, it's very relevant to this. So we're going to tell you this story. Now, I'm going to say if you are one of the men I'm talking about, please don't take this personally. I really don't carry any ill will towards anyone, really, when it comes to a lot of the stuff I'm about to talk about. But it's learning experiences for me and it's stuff that's made me think, right? So anyway, with that guy canceling on me, I was really frustrated because one of the things I'm going through right now is a lot of the people that I was dating, all have primary partners, right? And I don't have a problem with that. Obviously, I'm poly, but the problem that I've had is that just makes them incredibly unavailable. That just makes them incredibly, incredibly unavailable. And now when I'm not traveling the world and doing these talks, the world, the country, doing these talks, I have a lot of time and I want to go do stuff, right? And so I guess I want to be able to spend the time with the men that I'm dating, as opposed to trying to find someone new. Before I went on my 2 recent lines of tours, I spent a lot of time dating pointlessly and then kind of concluding to that, hey, look, Kat, you're seeing 4 people right now. Let's sort out where things are going with those people before we like add anyone new. And so for a quick little hot minute, I didn't really go on dates with new people. I went to events and I socialized and stuff like that, but I didn't go on dates with new people. right? Because one of the reasons why I did this, and I've talked about this in other videos, is I was kind of dating for the sake of dating. And I had these people who I had had more significant relationships with who I really wanted to see where things went, right? So I definitely stopped really meeting up with a lot of people from OkCupid and Tinder. I just focused on those people. Now, through my journey of doing that, I got broken up with yesterday. One of the guys I was dating was like, "Hey, I'm sort of dealing with shit with my main partner. I really need to focus on that." And I understood and respected that. We kind of put, a bookmark in what our dating thing. And that's that. I'm currently seeing two people now, one of which was a guy that I talked about yesterday who I had a little bit of a scare with him. I had to go get tested, but things came out okay. But he's sort of in this period now where he is staying with his main partner, who, when you look at his phone, look at her name in his phone, she has his last name. And the other guy that I'm seeing lives all the way in the valley. And he is another one of these guys that I made a concession for when it comes to, my usual standards of not dating men who don't have experience with trans women. And I was like, well, let me date this guy because he seems like a really good guy and he's really politically active, and that's really good for me. But to be honest, I'm kind of getting to that point where I'm getting a little aggravated with that whole thing. Now, it's weird because, like I said in my broadcast yesterday, when I was trying to date monogamously, there was a lot of things that felt way more secure for me, right? I wasn't really worrying about anything more than the basic shit you worry about when you're trying to date someone. Polyamory has definitely reinvigorated a lot of my little insecurities. And so I'm kind of navigating around that right now because I'm a pretty confident person and I like myself a lot. But it's hard for me sometimes to maintain some of my confidence when I'm kind of consistently in these situations where at the end of the day, when they have the multiple choice of dating more than one person, they ultimately, regardless of their racial background, end up landing on and settling with cis white women, regardless of their racial background. You go to a poly event, right? And you look at any of the Black women in the room, the chances are they are not partnered with anyone. The chances are they're there as a single woman and they have no main partner. There's no one that they personally call their a main partner. Now, you ask any of the white women around the room and their partner's right there with them, right? They've got several partners, or, they're just here with their, side partner or whatever. And that's just kind of the common thing. And so I think before, when I was pretty confident as a person, now there's like a little bit of like that, I don't know, those insecurities that are being reinvigorated within me because it's hard for me to ignore. Because when you're poly, there's so much communication, things are so open, things are so out there. And so it's really, really, really clear when things are what they are. And so even though I know for so many of the men that I'm dating that us not working out is not really tied to my race or my gender, it's so hard for me not to sort of think it is. Like the one guy that I'm dating who I feel the most confident about, honestly, he had the situation with this woman who he had met after me, who he was flying across the country to go see. Now, I see him pretty consistently. I travel sometimes, and that means we can't see each other. He ends up getting busy or something, and we can't see each other. We see each other pretty often. And I kind of had this thing where, during Christmas, it was really fucking with me that, he did all these different holiday things with his other partners, but I was sitting home alone. Now, mind you, this is partially my own craziness because I don't know him as well as his other partners do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know him as well as his other partners do. So, and like at that point, especially, we hadn't seen each other. That I think we were dating each other like in August, so it wasn't like I had as close of a relationship, right? But sometimes it's hard for me to sort of sit there and, deal with, I guess, seeing people treat certain people a certain way, but not me. And one of the reasons why I got so upset with the guy yesterday is I was really excited meeting him, and the reasoning he gave me for not being able to see me was that his girlfriend was going through something emotionally, and he needed to be there for her. Now, when we had previous conversations, I told him all the stuff I told him about with me dating people and really hungering for someone who's more of a main partner. We had a lot of conversations about that because my big thing with talking to men who are poly now is I appreciate that you're poly and I appreciate that you have other partners, but I'm really looking for someone who has the capacity for, if things go right, if things flow, because I'm really not about rushing into shit, being a main partner, because for me, it's hard to sit here with at one point 4 different partners who all had main partners, who all lived pretty far away, who were all entirely unavailable, who knew liked you, were interested in you, wanted to be around you, but couldn't because of something happening with their main partner. That's kind of hard for me to stomach sometimes, because it just invigorates feelings of insecurity. Because for me, I can look at someone I'm with being with another person and not really be that bothered by it, especially if we have that like secure connection. But what I've been seeing all too often with a lot of different poly people is that here are people who have these relationships where if the woman says, I'm feeling some sort of way today, everything is sacrificed, everything is put aside. And this guy, this is not his main partner. This is, they have their own main partners. That's not his main partner at all. He was just, the secondary, whatever the fuck you want to say. It depends on their own personal vision of poly, right? And so, for me, I'm mostly just looking for someone who's a little bit more available. I'm not saying we have to fall in love tomorrow. I'm not saying that we need to be close together right now. I mean, I just got out of a 5-year relationship. I'm a little hesitant to jump into something, but there's a difference between not being available and having the capacity to, if things go well, be more available and have more of a main steady thing. I think it's because I'm getting older and I am hungering for a little bit of that like stability, that it's been really sort of frustrating for me to sort of talk to these men who say they can do one thing but can't really. Because my thing with that guy was, you had to have known before yesterday that you didn't have the capacity to date another person. You had to know. And like I said on my broadcast, my big thing was, I think for a lot of men, being poly and dating in this way is all about, exacerbating their insecurities. It's all about sort of making themselves feel nice because they have a bunch of women who are vying for them. And you kind of see that in some people's material, how poly materializes for some people, right? So, for example, I'm gonna be very careful talking about this because last time I tried to talk about it, I got into some trouble. There was this guy who I had known through the BDSM scene, right? He's someone who works in a very like teaching position at a lot of the dungeons I go to. He's someone who I've watched play and I've been like, oh my gosh, he's really, really good. And so I was kind of curious about, what our dynamic would be like. And so one night I went to an event and we did a scene together and it was really, really good. And we started talking about the possibility of dating, right? And so I'm not going to tell you all this stuff because honestly, this story is really intense and it's a lot. But long story short, one of the sort of contingencies of us dating, that's not the right word, one of the sort of requirements rather of us dating was that I would have to be part of his harem, because he had a lot of these women who all were with him, who all followed him, who all were, only played with him, and they didn't really, and then the women didn't really have any other male partners, right? That was their structure. And, it's hard for me to look at someone with that particular type of structure and not read that as inherently pretty insecure, because you need to be not only surrounded by women, but surrounded by women who only do things with you, right? For me, that just feels a little insecure. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's very secure with himself or whatever. But especially the way that some of the conversation we had went from that, it just, that doesn't seem like the case. They're doing construction next door and it's really pissing me off. Let me close this door. Don't look at my butt. Oh my God. Don't look at it. Oh, they're so fucking loud. So yeah, so like I'm not looking to get into something like that. And I figured that out. You know, a lot of the experiences I'm having now are like learning things for me. I'm learning new things. I'm figuring new things out about myself. And I'm glad that I'm doing that because a lot of this shit's super fucking uncomfortable. But at least now I know. At least now I know. I figured out succinctly I don't want to be in a dynamic like that where I am one of many women worshiping a man. I'm so fucking sorry. That's just not how I want to live my fucking life, right? Um, and so anyway, my focus right now, because here's the thing, and I realized this actually today when I was editing my Tinder profile. I think I started from a place of like, I'm looking for casual dating. I'm not looking for anything super serious because I'm not really looking to jump into a new 5-year relationship. I'm really enjoying being alone right now. I'm really enjoying being single. I'm really enjoying living my life for myself and not being controlled by anyone. I'm really enjoying that. At the same time, I don't like these fly by night type of situations. So my big thing, I've developed to a point where I'm like, look, I want to date people and have the openness, have the option of potentially becoming more of a long-term thing. I'm not saying that has to happen tomorrow, but I'm saying that it has to be something that at least the people I'm dating are open to, right? um and so, I mean, obviously people learn things about themselves. Like I've had several different experiences since, where I started dating someone who said that they were polyamorous, who decided that maybe that poly wasn't for them, or that maybe they weren't really polyamorous and they needed to focus on one partner. And as hard as that's been for me to stomach, I'm glad they figured that out. It sucks that they had to figure it out with me, because it's definitely been a pretty upsetting experience to consistently go out with these people who say one thing and then do another. I was again upset with this guy yesterday because we talked on the phone for hours. We had a lot of conversations about what we wanted to do. I made it very clear that I was looking for someone who had the capacity and the free time to actually pursue something that was more of a steady main relationship. And what does he do? Not only a day after, basically communicate to me that he's not ready for a steady and main relationship. And what I meant when I was saying early on in this video that maybe I missed the little bit of the fake bullshit that comes with being or attempting to be in a monogamous relationship is that what would have happened if we were both bullshitting with each other and pretending that we wanted to be monogamous with each other is that he would have shown up on that date. He would have shown up on that date. He would have taken me out on a date. We might have had a really good time. And then maybe in a week or so, he would say to me, well, I've met someone and I really think that I should focus on her. That's what would happen. And so and the only reason I missed that is because at least I wouldn't have this thing where tonight is like this just empty black hole of like a thing that I was supposed to do that no longer is being done, right? At least it would be that. It would be dishonest as fuck, but at least I would have had that taken care of, right? And so one of the things I'm working on again is managing my expectations. And then on top of that, what did I do when this guy? I mean, you guys fucking saw me yesterday on my broadcast. I sent him a long ass send of text. I was like, what the hell? Da, 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 da. I went through it. And you know what? Here's the thing I'm really dealing with. It's like this incongruence that I have with myself and where I'm at. And maybe this is a little bit of the insecurity materializing, right? I'm very much in the fucking mindset of right now, I'm not everyone's fucking, type. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to sort of sit there and beg for you to give me the attention and to love me and to embrace me. I don't want to be with someone who doesn't understand trans people and doesn't get it and isn't accepting of it, right? But I say that, but what I do is the opposite. I'm dating one guy, but I was dating two guys who have never been with trans women. I made concessions for them. I was like, well, maybe we'll see where this goes and da 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 da. But am I happy? No. No, 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 no. I say that I'm not going to sit here and beg for you. And I'm not going to try to, get you to, I'm not going to prove to you that I'm worth it. But what am I fucking doing? Sending these text messages to this guy about how, I'm worth it. It's frustrating because I know that this is how I feel, but my actions aren't quite doing that. And one of the things that I learned at the poly convention is that maybe sometimes it's best to assume the best. Now, y'all fucking know me. I try real hard to be patient and I do try to assume the best, but I'm a bit of a pessimist. I'm a bit of like, I really like to cut through the bullshit. I really don't like to sit here and question and wonder. I want to know, and I want to know now. I want to know, and I want to know now, right? And so because of that, I've gotten into some situations recently where I maybe very clumsily, push someone to give me an answer, and they either didn't give me an answer, or their answer was maybe we shouldn't see each other, right? But I just don't like being bullshit. Like, if your thing is, because here's my thing with the guy yesterday, I was like, look, if the reason you're canceling is that you don't want to see me because, I didn't even give you guys, so I didn't finish this yesterday, but one of the concerns I had was, or maybe I did say this, I don't remember. I had a long ass conversation with him yesterday about this audition that I just had. I just had an audition for a major TV show on a major network, something where I'm going to be out. If I get it, I auditioned with 6 people, but if I get it, there's no, like, I was worried about working with Cheska Lee because I was like, oh shit, everyone's going to fucking see my stuff. With this, if I get this means I'm going to be on a fucking national stage on an extremely popular television show, and I'm going to be a co-host. It's changing shit. And so I don't know, maybe he sat and thought about that and how maybe he wouldn't be comfortable with that. And I'm not really about making myself smaller for a man, but sometimes I'm like, fuck, maybe I shouldn't tell men everything I do because it's going to intimidate them. I have those thoughts. I don't, but at the same time, I have those thoughts, but I'm sitting over here being like, I'm not going to explain myself. I'm worth it, da 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 da. But am I actually acting that way? Probably not, right? So anyway, we're here to talk about something completely different. We got off tangent. So there's a couple of things about the poly community that I have definitely been experiencing that have been a little aggravating for me. Now, you guys, like I said, I'm really not about bullshit. I understand and accept that there are people who are not going to like me, and I'm okay with that. I am okay with that, because what I've realized with life is that when you date people who don't like you, you spend the vast majority of your date trying to get them to like you and never succeeding. And that's not a healthy relationship to be in. I'm very sensitive to power imbalances in relationships, right? I think for most cis men, they approach trans women already from this feeling and this position of superiority. They think that they get they understand their gender, they understand where they're at. You're a little confused because by virtue of you being transgender. And so then maybe they're going to be able to sort of take your gender or give it to you. Fuck, today I had a situation where a guy, reached out to me and he sent me a message that was like, oh, you're really hot, but it just sucks that we're not looking for the same thing. Now on Tinder, I do have the thing where I'm like, listen, if you match with a good looking woman, chances are she's got hundreds of fucking messages. And matching with people on Tinder is not that deep. It's really not that deep, right? I've matched with 3 different YouTubers that I have like little massive crushes on, but I'm not going to come out here and tell y'all that, this YouTuber likes trans women, because it's not that deep. It's not that fucking deep. It's really, truly, and honestly not that fucking deep, right? And so I don't like when men send me these messages that are like, oh, I read your profile and we're not looking for the same thing, because bitch, I've got 500 matches. You were one of them. And if you just unmatched me, I would not have even noticed. I would not have even noticed. You know what I mean? But I get it, because for men might get like 2 to 3 matches a day, right? They might be lucky if they get one. So when men get those matches, it's like a big thing for them. It's like, oh my God, this girl matched with me. I need to go message her. But then you go message, and then you send this message. Like, to me, I compare it to when you're in a bar and you see someone who you find attractive, right? And maybe you both smile at each other, but that's as deep as it gets. To me, what it's like, I think matching with someone is like smiling at someone. It's like you just had a mutual smile and maybe a mutual moment of attraction. But it would be like having that, and then them walking up to you and looking you in the eye and saying, you know what, look, I just don't think that we're looking for the same things. And I'm looking for this, but I don't think you're really ready for that. And that's just that. It would be fucking weird. It's fucking weird. I'm not heartbroken over one of my thousands of matches not matching up with me. Most of my matches don't fucking contact me, right? So I sent this to him, and his whole thing, from the jump was, you're so hot, you're so attractive, I really want to be with you, da 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 da, but we're not looking for the same thing. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to budge, because I think when men send these messages, a lot of times it's kind of sent to you with the intention of getting you to change your mind. Like, they're just reaching out to you to see if you're serious, if you're really serious about, that's a lot better. If you're really serious about what you said you're looking for. Oh my God, I'm so messy. My room is so messy right now. Right? And so that's really what it's about. It's really about like trying to get you to change your mind. And my thing is like, look, if I say in my profile, not looking for sex, which I do, you can just trust and believe that I'm really not looking for sex, and that I actually do mean that. I'm not just saying it to for lulz and for ha-has. I really do genuinely mean that I'm not looking for sex. I used to have a little fucking thing on there about, look, bitch, I have a nightstand full of soulless dicks. If I really need to get fucked, I know exactly where to go. And you know what? I won't have to worry about it being a fucking asshole to me. I just have to go reach in there. And if I wanted the sensation of getting fucked, I could get that on my own, right? I'm not gonna meet up with some random guy from fucking Tinder to suck his dick and get. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's really, truly, honestly not gonna happen. So just respect that. And I have another thing. I mean, I'm getting off tangent. I'm getting off tangent now. But I have another thing where it's like, if I write something in my profile and I say I don't want this, and instead of really respecting my no, you try to convince me, that tells me that if we were to have sex, I would have to fight with you to get you to accept my no as a no. And I'm really not interested in doing that. I like men who understand consent. I like men who understand that no means fucking no. I don't want to have to convince you to stop doing something. I need you to respect that that my words have meaning and value, and not that I'm just saying it to sort of seem like a good girl. I don't need to seem like a good girl. I'm not a good girl. So why would I, you know what I mean? So anyway. Oh wow, of course I would get this all fucked up on stream. But anyway, but I'm also realistic, and I know that for a lot of people, Tinder is for hookups, and so I'm not really over here getting offended or shit. I mean, I'll show my titties on screen. I'm not really over here getting offended or whatever. It's just like, I don't get it. You want to hook up with someone? Don't message someone who says no sex in their profile, right? Anyway, woo, that was a tangent. So after I sent him that, he suddenly was like, he went from, oh, you're so hot, to like, oh, you're clearly you're a cunt, and you're like, he said, what did he say? He said, you're acting, oh, clearly you have a chip on your shoulder and you're a massive fucking cunt. So bye, dude. And that's always so funny to me when men do this thing where it's like, they will bend over backwards with the chance to put their dick inside of you, for the chance to put their dick inside of you. But when you say no, suddenly you're the freak, suddenly you're the tranny, suddenly you're the man, suddenly you're the dude. But you were over here trying to fuck me. I was over here with the same position as I started with, where I was saying, I'm not going to fuck you, right? But now I'm the weirdo. Now I'm the crazy person, because you decided that, you want to fuck it, and I'm suddenly a man now because I don't want to suck your dick. But anyway, so I'm getting so off tangent. But like, so there's shit that I'm dealing with now, dating as a trans woman, that I hadn't dealt with for a really long time. And so it's kind of exhausting and it's a little upsetting. But the most devastating shit that's happened to me is the shit that I've kind of experienced within the poly community. Now, a lot of poly spaces, for example, I went to a poly event yesterday, and all of us have to have shit. Do I have my dress on the floor somewhere? Oh, fuck. Let me see if I can go just grab this for you. So if you're on my stream yesterday, you remember the hoe dress I wore, which was a hit, of course. Oh, I think I took it off, actually. I think I ripped my name. Yeah, I ripped my name tag off. Okay, that was pointless. But I wore this little hoe dress yesterday, and it was a hit. And I did get asked out on a date. So, but the little name tag we had has like your name, and it has preferred pronoun below it, right? And I'd never seen name tags like that, and I was really happy that those were there. I didn't fucking use it, but I was walking around and I was like seeing people, and I saw that they had like he and him and she and her and they and all that stuff on their little tags. I was like, that's fucking cool. A lot of poly communities are very like open-minded, inclusive, and we're all about love and everyone, da 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 da, right? But my problem with that is this is what I've become really fucking annoyed with, right? And this is gonna be a fucking rant, so we're just gonna go with it. The problem I've had with that, and this is gonna maybe not sound like quite a contradiction, but it feels like one to me. So I've met a lot of people within the poly community who are very pro-trans, right? Who are very you go on their Facebook page, you read through their shit, and half the stuff they're posting is very trans affirming and pro-trans and all this stuff, right? And listen, I am not mad at them for doing that. I'm really not mad at them for doing that. I think that's great. But these same people, these same exact people do not date trans women and mostly date white women, mostly date cis white women. And so I'm sitting over here having seen several interactions with trans women, several interactions with Black women, and not seeing any sort of romantic anything come from that. And understanding that, these are people who sit online all day long talking about how important it is to affirm trans women's genders, who don't actually see trans women as women. And one of my friends pointed this out to me, and it was kind of, it was a joke, but I kind of feel like it was true. It's that women and those who identify as women type thing. It's that like, you're not really a woman, you just identify as a woman. And so we're just going to sort of put you into this other category so that we can sort of justify not being attracted to you. Now, listen, this is important because this is where it's going to get real fucking complicated. Now, here's my issue with all of what I'm just saying right now, right? I personally do not believe that you are a bigot necessarily for not liking trans women. I really don't feel that way. A lot of people do. I really, truly, and honestly don't. I don't feel like you're a bad person for not liking transgender women or not being attracted to transgender women. People might disagree with me, but I guess my mindset with the whole "are you a transphobe if you're not into trans women" conversation has kind of largely been, listen, there's too many men out there who like trans women for me to really split hairs over the men who don't. But my problem with this has been within the poly community, that there are a lot of men who will sit around all day long affirming trans women's genders, but when it really comes down to it, they don't see them as women and they don't date them. And this is something I feel specifically because I'm someone who, I go to these fucking events and all men do all day long is fucking fawn over me and talk about how attractive I am and this and this and this and this and that. And I'm not someone who needs to hear these things, right? I like the way that I look. Like, listen, y'all saw me get ready on stream yesterday. I like the way that I look. I like when I'm wearing a little hoe fit. I really enjoy the way that I look, okay? And I could go out and feel hot as shit and have no one say that to me and feel just as hot as I did before. I don't need people to tell me that I'm attractive. I know I'm attractive. I don't need that affirmation. I'm not one of those fucking people. But it's interesting when that praise, that worship, that affirmation, that this and this and that doesn't really translate into, well, let's go on a date. And maybe I'm kind of feeling this a little bit because the guy that just broke up with me was a guy that I met at a poly event, who did not know that I was trans at first, found out that I was trans before our first date, and he has a trans daughter, and we very much went from this point of like, well, look, we go to the same, well, I went here. So if I knew that he didn't like trans women or has no experience with trans women, I would have probably said no when he asked me out on a date. I said yes, assuming that he did, right? Maybe feeling like this community is very open-minded. So he's someone who clearly has experience and knows, right? But it turns out he didn't. And when we talked about it, I had the mindset of, look, we go to the same clubs, we go to the same parties, we're going to see each other all the fucking time. Maybe it's a good idea for us to see where this goes, right? Let's just see where it goes. Let's see how it pans out. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but at least we'll fucking know. At least we will fucking know. Do you know what I mean? And that was really my big thing is I just want to, if we feel like this is something we want to do, let's give it a shot. Let's try. You know what I mean? Um, but we dated for a while and never had sex, and it always boiled down to he's very, very attracted to me. He's very, very attracted to me, but he doesn't really know how he would react when it actually came to having sex with me. Now, listen, y'all. Look, um, I said in my last broadcast that I'm not having a lot of sex, and that being poly has made is actually since I've been specifically dating as a poly person, I have not been having nearly as much sex as I really could, right? Because I'm being very careful, right? But bitch, I fucking know that I could get some good dick whenever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want, right? Um, and in my experience, when you compare men who are inexperienced with trans women versus men who are experienced with trans women are always going to give you the quality. I've only had sex with one man who was completely inexperienced with trans women. And that's a funny fucking story. Girl, let me just tell you real quick. So there's this guy that I met on Bumble, actually. And we went out for a while. This was like when I was still living with my ex and stuff was really, really hard. And he had never been with a trans woman, but I was just so much like in the mindset, I really want to get out. I really don't want to be in the house. It's really hard for me to be here right now. So he took me out. We went on a bunch of different dates and we eventually had sex. And he had never been with a trans woman. But the sex was bomb. Like the sex was so fucking good, right? And he knew that I was poly. And he knew that I was seeing other people, and that did kind of make him a little bit uncomfortable. And so, we kind of, after a certain point, we dwindled away from each other. Like for like a week, I didn't talk to him. This is when I was moving to LA, right? In fact, he actually helped me. He got some boxes from work, and he helped me get some boxes, so I could box up some of my stuff when I came down here. I don't talk to him for a week, right? And when I try to talk to him again, he's like, "Oh, I live in Florida now, and I'm married." And that blew me away because you literally fucked me a week ago. So like, you're in Florida now and you're married. How the fuck did that happen? And who the fuck knows? I could tell he was in his 40s, so I think he was very much in that mindset of like he really wanted to have a family. He really, really wanted that. And I think maybe he just talked to the right person. He was also in like a shitty living situation. So I think maybe there's a woman that had a house or whatever. He moved to Florida, which is way cheaper. And she had she has a daughter. And he got instant family. And I was bummed because I lost bomb dick. That sucked. But at the same time, I was happy that he found what he wanted, right? It was just kind of funny. But anyway, so I haven't been with a lot of men who are completely inexperienced with trans women, and felt like they have been able to give me the experience that I want. Men, like the man that I'm seeing the longest right now, I called him Soldier on my last stream. Our sex is fucking amazing. He's experienced with trans women. He's not weird about our bodies. He accepts and loves everything about trans women, post and pre-op, whatever. And the sex is great. I'm way more invested in having quality sex, good sex, than a lot of sex. I would much rather. But for me, when I'm with someone who I feel like whether or not we're going to have sex is really based on their like insecurity with my body, it's just that's too fucking much. And I have a problem with meeting these men who I'm very attracted to, I think are really, really great, but who aren't experienced, and then me kind of giving them excuses and like, making, a lot space for them because they're maybe not as experienced as I would like, right? And so I'm kind of aggravated with men right now because in both of those situations of the two guys one guy that I was seeing, but the two guys that I was seeing that were both inexperienced with trans women and wanted to be with me specifically, they're both very politically vocal. They're both so fucking vocal, right? And that's part of why I'm attracted to them. I like men who are politically involved. There's nothing sexier to me than a man who has politics that are a little bit more radical than mine. That is just so fucking sexy to me. That is so fucking hot. But I really don't like being in a position where, because of my body that I like, by the way, I like every part of my body, whether or not our relationship continues is really based on how comfortable they get. I don't have the fucking patience for that, especially in the sea of men who already like trans women. I don't have the fucking patience for it. And so it's a little aggravating for me because I went from, before I went on my tour, having like these 4 guys I was seeing. Everything was for the most part pretty good. I think because they were all had these main partners. They all, didn't have a lot of time to actually hang out. Because I had so many of them, I was able to do a lot of stuff and have a really great time. But now it's like I was seeing 4 people. 2 of them both fell off. And I'm kind of wanting to talk to the third one about whether or not we should keep seeing each other, because I really fucking like him. I really fucking like him. But like, we've had a lot of really weird dates. Like, he's kind of been going through some shit, and I've really been trying to like help him with that, but it's not a two-way street, like I don't know. Like, last time I saw him, he was going through some shit with his family, and I was like wanting to ask him what he was going through. And mind you, the week before I saw him, he actually said to me, and I probably shouldn't say this on here, but I'm going to say it, but he actually said to me that he loved me. And we hadn't had sex. We've been going out. It's been really great. But he said that he loved me. And it took me kind of by surprise. And I really didn't know how to react to it, because I could grow to love him, but I don't love him right now. I don't, especially because I have this lingering fear that he's going to reject me because of my body, which is not something I like having over my head. Like I said, I'm very resistant to power imbalance in relationships. I'm so resistant to that. I do not want to be with someone who could sit there and say, well, you're trans and that's why I can't continue to date you. I don't want that. I do not want to deal with or date a man that feels that way. I don't want that. I really don't. Now, of course, I understand that that's most men. But what I usually say to men when they're, trying to figure out their situation is, go out there and get you a girl. Go out there and find a girl who you want to experiment with. I'm not like this, but there are plenty of women out there who are going to let you do whatever the fuck you want to them because they're very excited with the idea of being with a man who's inexperienced. Me personally, I want you to know your shit before we even talk to each other, right? I've, again, gone against my intuition and dated these guys who don't have experience, which is, in comparison to the men that I'm talking to, that's a very small sect of people. It just happens that these are people who I'm a little bit more solid with, right? And so that's usually what I say to men, but here we are. And that's of course aggravating insecurities of mine, where I'm sitting over here wondering what if, and plus I'm going with, I'm already on top of all these other men that I've dated who have left me behind for these cis white girls, and I'm sitting over here thinking, well, fuck, is it just like, is this just how things are gonna be? Because I'm so tired of men. And I know when I talk online, when I talk to you guys about men fawning over me, I know that for some of you guys, you think that I am bragging. I want to make this very fucking clear. I don't have a reason to brag to you. I don't. I really don't. If you think I'm unattractive, that's completely fine. I'm completely okay with that. I'm really fine with it. I'm telling you this because it is my experience. It's what I'm going through. You might not fucking believe it. But it's what I'm going through. I go through a lot of men finding me very, very fucking attractive. I get a lot of attention when I go places. Not that I'm trying to, but I get a lot of attention when I go places. But then it not really going anywhere or being anything or turning into anything, And part of that is exacerbated by me passing, right? When I go to these poly events, especially when I go to these poly events, so often it's like, these men like me, these men are interested in me, these men want to, date me or go out with me, but then I tell them that I'm trans, or they find out that I'm trans through a conversation I'm having with someone about trans shit, or they go on my profile and they see that I'm trans, and suddenly now Suddenly now, oh, well, I guess never mind, right? And so when you're in that situation and it just continuously happens over and over and over again, it's just hard for me to not feel like those little bits of like insecurity just pop right back up. Because when I was in a 5-year relationship with someone who I thought was a fucking Adonis, who I knew loved me unconditionally, who I knew, was with me for the right reasons, like I didn't have these insecurities. I did not have these insecurities at all, right? And then going out into the dating world, I felt like I just didn't have these insecurities. But I guess maybe I still do, and that's really hard for me to it's really hard for me to really acknowledge, to be honest with you guys. It's really hard for me to be like, Kat, look, bitch, you still have so much growing to do. Because the truth of the matter is, like I said to you earlier, like I'm doing a lot of things that are contradicting my initial positions. Like I'm at one hand saying, oh, I'm not going to explain myself, or I don't want a man who I'm explaining myself to, but then I'm explaining myself to men, right? I'm saying I want to date men who are experienced with trans women, but then I'm dating men who are inexperienced with trans women. Like I'm not being congruent with how I feel. I'm completely going for things and through things that like are not for me. And that's getting a little aggravating because it's becoming hard for me to maintain this attitude of I really like myself and I think I'm a really great person. And then also like, well, actually, maybe I'm not as great, or maybe I don't know. Because I don't base my value on men or whether or not men find me attractive or whether or not men want me or anything even close to that. But it's definitely hard for me sometimes to feel the same degree of confidence when I'm dealing with people who aren't really comfortable with me. I don't know. I don't know. And I it's funny because I actually told the guy that broke up with me, who actually, inside note, we're on good terms. Really, what it came down to, like, it was a lot of shit, but one of the things he said to me that made me really realize that, like, okay, this is happening, is that he told me he just doesn't really have the time to educate himself in the way that he needs to be the right person to date me. And I think that's very true. But also, I have a thing where it's like, so you're gonna make all these fucking Facebook posts, you're gonna make all these posts with all this woke shit, but you don't have the time to actually research it, because so much of our incongruence was him not understanding Black women's experiences and him not understanding trans women's experiences. I think that it's possible for you to understand both of those things, but it's like an uphill battle when you sort of frame it as something that's just so out of your reach. You just don't have the time to do it. I told him point blank. I said, I don't think you should date another Black woman or another trans person. Like I think you have a lot of growth to do. Because I'm not going to get too deep into it, but like there was an argument that we got into that was really sort of based on one of his friends saying something that I felt was a little racist, unintentionally racist, but a little racist. And I felt like for most people who understand Black women's experiences, who have listened to Black women talk about a lot of the stuff that they've gone through, my reading of how his friend spoke to me would make sense. But because despite how liberal he likes to think he is, he maybe doesn't surround himself with as many people as he thinks. And so a lot of the people that he might be privy to listening to are not Black or are not trans people, and because of that, he doesn't always get like these little sort of idiosyncrasies of the things that we deal with, right? And I think that if you're going to date someone, you have to. I mean, fuck, my ex was a fucking sociology major. Okay, he took classes on this shit. He took fucking classes about this shit. And so he definitely understood a lot of stuff before he met me. And I miss talking to men who have that. It's interesting how many feminist men I talk to, how many woke men I talk to, how many leftist men I talk to, who I still have to explain basic trans experiences and basic Black women's experiences to. I think some people are so addicted to this idea of putting a label on themselves politically and making memes and laughing about it, that they don't actually do the work. They don't actually do the work. It's all about the image, and that's aggravating to me. And it's a little frustrating to me to listen to these people who consistently say that they're on my side, but know that they aren't really. And again, I'm not someone who says that you have to like sleep with trans people to support them. That's not my perspective. But I don't get posting endless, pro-trans content, but not completely being comfortable with it. Like both of these guys, I mean, the guy that I'm still seeing, he does the same shit where I go on his page and it's trans jokes, it's gender of the day jokes, it's all these jokes about non-binary stuff and all these, but he is uncomfortable with my body. He can't, he's attracted to me, but he's uncomfortable with my body. So like, really, what are you doing? What are you really doing? Are you really making these jokes? In a way that's supportive, or that you're like in the in group of, or are you just doing these things because it makes you look good on social media? Like, I'm a little aggravated with that. Because I would rather you be someone who just is totally not there than someone who's you know doing the fucking dance. It's really fucking exhausting. I would much, 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 much rather you just be real about where you're at. And I get that for a lot of people, there's a lot of discomfort there. I get that for a lot of people, you've never been with a trans person, you don't know how it's going to be, but if you know that you're like hardwired to not be into trans women, don't waste my fucking time. Don't waste my fucking time. Don't waste my time. And more than anything, this is the big one. Don't preach to other people that they need to be this way or be that way, or that trans women need to be accepted like this and trans men need to be accepted like that, when you don't even do that. That's the shit that gets me more than anything. Is you're sitting up and you're preaching to people about how people need to accept trans women for their valid genders and their real genders or whatever. But here you are, uncomfortable with actually sleeping with a trans woman who you apparently find attractive. It's exhausting to me because I notice that I don't really see a lot of trans women, black women, people of marginalized experience doing the same degree of like posting things on social media that are very, I don't see that as often. But I see a lot of like my white cis male counterparts who are trying to be allies, who are trying to doing all that stuff, but knowing that they actually don't practice what they preach. And that's aggravating to me. If you're going to be if you're on the team of I'm hardwired to not be attracted to trans women, do not preach the narrative that trans women are their genders are valid and this and that. It feels incongruent to me. These buttons are so broken on this jacket. I think there's only two actually. This jacket's so old. It was thrifted. I've had it for so long. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm making a lot of sense. I'm probably not, because on one hand, I want for people to still feel like they can be supportive and they can say these things and I want people to still do that. It's becoming a little much for me to like try to date these men who I only really date because they seem super pro trans and stuff, who I know are ultimately uncomfortable with my body. It's too fucking much. It's too fucking much. So yeah, I feel like that's what my rant. That's what I have to say. I haven't read comments at all in this video, so let me see what comments are, and then maybe I will close up. Oh no, there's not a lot of comments on this one. How was the poly event last night? The poly event was great. He was there, the guy who just broke up with me, and I want to make it clear, me and him are still on good terms. Like, I kind of need my space, but for the most part, we're on good terms. I still think he's a good person. I just think he has a lot of unpacking to do. And honestly, me entertaining him as a potential date partner or whatever, that was my fault. I should have known that wasn't going to pan out. I should have known. But I said to myself, I'm going to try it. And it was my fault, So, yeah. Anyway, how many times have I encountered people who say they are ready for a poly? but get cold feet because of so much stigma. Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I think everyone is in their own journey when it comes to poly, right? And I know that a lot of people are still figuring it out. Like one thing you learn when you go to these poly meetups is like it's just you learn that so many people are still figuring it out, and that's okay. That is valid as fuck. Like I think for me, when I say stuff, I really do mean it. And maybe there's times where my mind changes, but I really do mean it, you know? And if my mind changes, it's not going to be like within a day. Like I'm not going to tell you something the day before and then change my mind the day after. Like it's just not going to happen, you know? If I feel a way, I'm going to tell you I feel a way, and that's going to be the way I feel. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. Um, oh man, I literally just finished watching the last stream. So excited I can just keep watching Cat with no break in between. Oh, thank you. I'm not even Polynesian, but it bugs me out how non-Polynesian people totally stole the word poly. Lol, like it used to be a word for actual poly communities, and now it's societal. It means I don't know if societally means non-monogamous. I don't know if everyone feels that way. It makes them good on social media. They will trust it's cultural tourism. It is. That's I saw an article that was like it turns out activism is good for your child's mind or something. And it's like, bitch, some of us can't afford to just be activists because it's fucking fun. Some of us are activists because we embody these experiences that put us in positions where we have to be. Like, some of us absolutely cannot just not stand up for ourselves. We are activists by virtue of us existing in a world that fucking hates us. So I don't know. I just hate that thing because it's like I wish because sometimes it's like, are you just reading this? Are you just posting this stuff or are you actually reading it? Are you just like, you know what I mean? Are you actually reading what you're posting? Because I don't get how I could try to date two of these men who project their wokeness on social media so well. But when it came down to it, neither of them are comfortable with trans women. Why even present that? Why even sort of have that like that or be that way when the reality is you don't feel that way? And I get that for a lot of people, allyship is working through a consistent story of just being uncomfortable and being, out there. I get that. It really is for a lot of people. Being poly is just this consistent, you know, not being poly, being an ally is just consistent discomfort, consistent, going through shit you don't want to go through. I get that. But like be honest with yourself. Maybe just say, I'm not ready for this right now, and like leave that there. Like, because here's the thing that I had with the guy where it was like his whole thing was he didn't want to be problematic. He didn't want to be he said to me, like, I want to date you and see where it goes, but I don't want you to feel like you're an experiment because I don't see you in that way. And I'm not trying to make you that way. You're not an experiment to me, but I want to see how this feels. And, I kind of told him, yeah, I was like, I kind of told him, I was like, I know you don't think this is like an experiment. I know that I know that you don't view it that way and you don't want it to be seen that way. But really what it is an experiment because you don't really know that you like trans women. You don't really know that. You really don't actually know that. And so you just don't want to, like, for me, like what I realized with this guy was so much of the way that he talked to me was about him. It was about how he felt about the stuff. It was about how he was comfortable or uncomfortable, and it was so much of it wasn't really quite about me. Now he was attempting to be thoughtful of me, and so I'm not going to act like he was completely selfish because he really wasn't. But I think without noticing it, a lot of the way he would talk to me about what our dating thing would be, it was all kind of tight, and he wanted to be able to do it and then maybe be able to get to a point where he said, you know what, I'm not interested in this. but not feel bad about it and not be seen as problematic. My thing is, you're going to be problematic. You're going to go through that. You're going to be in situations that are fucking uncomfortable, right? You're going to be in situations like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Um, but at the same time, I don't really necessarily want to be there for that. I'm not interested in being an experiment, And so I fucking, listen, I said yes. I opened myself up to it. I allowed us to continue to see each other. And that's what happened. I mean, we never had sex, thank God. I told him, actually, it was funny when he was breaking up with me, I said, it's really good that we didn't have sex. Like, it's really, really good that we didn't have sex, because that would have hurt me. If we had this conversation after we had sex, it would have really fucked with me. So I'm glad that we didn't, because he's listened to me kind of go through some stuff, and he knows that, like, I've been in a lot of situations where I've had sex with someone who a week later told me he, was going to get into this serious fucking relationship. And that really hurt me. And so luckily he knew that that would have hurt me. And we didn't do that. But it still fucking sucks. It still fucking sucks. Though I'm not trans, I know how you feel. Dating men who are attracted to me but have no experience with Black women. I'm not trying something out to try to say that you've done so much time wasted. Yeah. I mean, and listen, I deal with that too. Y'all. Oh my God. So today on Tinder, in fact, let me see if I can still find this guy. So I have Tinder Gold, where I get to I see everyone who matches with me, or everyone who swipes right on me. And this one guy, oh my God. I just got a really annoying message, but let me see. Oh, I'm gonna have to go really far. I have 324 likes right now, so I'm probably not gonna be able to find it. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can. Oh, he's cute. So many matches. I have a lot of super likes too. I'm like trying to find this one profile, but like swiping on people as well. Because this profile it made me fall the fuck out. I don't even know if I should show it to you guys. I feel like it's gonna be a violation if I found it. Found it. Do you guys want to see? I'm not gonna show it to you. So I'll just describe it to you. So this is a man, he's 39 years old. He has a hat on. His profile picture is he's laying on a bed, he's got tattoos, and he's a white guy, and he has a hat on that says, "I love chocolate." And he's from Texas, and his profile says, 38 and feeling fine, will you be mine? Might be cheesy, but at least I can rhyme. I want us to make each other better in the world. Can I be your vanilla T'Challa and you my powerful intellectual, active lifestyle, fitness, travel to relax and embrace cultures, food, music, people, and sometimes to give back to the world. Fell in love with Africa last summer. DSW student at USC, ARC Texas raised, Southern intellect with swag. Vanilla T'Challa. I can't. I really fucking can't. I really fucking can't. I'm just like, you know what? And you know what? These are the reason these men are the ones that kill me. Because men like this usually are the type of guys who don't believe in Black Lives Matter, and they're the first to call you a nigger when you step out of line. They're the first to call you a nigger. There's all, I love chocolate. I can be your vanilla T'Challa. Like, Um, it fucking kills me. I mean, I almost took a picture of it and like shared it with my friends. You know, I'm gonna actually give him a like. I'm gonna like his profile to see what he says to me. Oh my God. So here's another message I just got. So this is the first message out of the gate that this guy sends me. He says, delicious, would love to bind and gag you, make you drool. Now, maybe it's because in my profile I say, you know, that I'm into BDSM, that men send me these messages, but I'm like, I don't know anyone who's actually experienced in BDSM who would send that as their first message. I don't. I really, really fucking don't. I really fucking don't. Um, Most of the men in BDSM that I am familiar with, most of the men in BDSM that I do scenes with, would never talk to me that way. They're more likely to talk to me about fucking Doctor Who. And it sucks because he's hot. Like, he's really hot. He's Japanese.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
I wasn't talking to you. That really sucks. He's really fucking cute. I'm gonna say no. And see, here's what's annoying to me. His profile. Let me read it. Let me read you his profile. Berkeley to LA, 2018, 5'5", muscular build, Japanese American, looking for an intelligent, adventurous, and creative artistic woman who is interested in bondage, rope, role play, and BDSM. We can meet and get to know another first, discuss your limits. I love beach bonfires, camping, and exploring the city, amongst many other things. My hobbies include cooking, karaoke, playing guitar, music, percussion, reading and writing, and powerlifting. Looking for a long-term partner. I don't get like I really don't get why men do like I've actually had to ask a couple of guys this morning. I was like, when you send messages like this, does it ever work? Does it ever work? Like do like when you send women messages like suck my dick or I want to tie you up and make you gag. Like does it work? Are women ever like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm ready. Like because I have like my theory is it has to work. It has to because I don't think that men would continuously do this if it didn't work to some degree. Do you know what I mean? His bio really isn't that bad. I'm just, you know, I'm gonna say I said you'd have to earn that, and you're not doing very well so far. Here's another exchange I had today. First message this guy sends me. Have you had your operation yet or pre-op? Just curious, lol. Sorry to start with that. Just wondering, but you're gorgeous, by the way. Now, what's crazy to me sometimes is the way these men talk to me. It's like, so most men, right? A lot of men who I'm going to say fetishize trans women because most men who like trans women aren't even this way. But most men who fetishize trans women have a really hard time dealing with, they have a hard time having a conception that there are men in this world who actually carry respect for trans women, that actually do like trans women, that actually do respect trans women and aren't just looking at trans women as a jump off or, you know, some fun, sexy thing to you know, to fuck, right? A lot of them actually do respect. And so a lot of these men will out the fucking gate, come through and ask heinously inappropriate questions. Ask heinously inappropriate questions. Now, I have never messaged a man and been like, so, is your dick cut or circumcised? What size is it? I've never done that. I've never done that, right? I've never, like, first of all, like, not to be a bitch, but this is a man who works as a cultivator. I don't want to, take it there, but sir, you're broke, okay? And you're asking me if I've had $60,000 worth of a surgery as your first question to me. There's no hello, there's no hi, how are you? There's no what are you doing today? How are you finding this website? Have you had the surgery? Whether, every time a guy sends me this message, I always say, the first message I always send back to him is like, sorry, I like men who like trans women. So if you don't like, because I feel like so many men who send that question are really just either asking for me to prove myself to them that I'm really serious about this whole trans/woman thing, and also are usually men who want to only be with trans women who are post-op. And I have a thing where if I spend my time with a man, I want him to be largely indifferent to my genitalia. I want him to be largely fucking indifferent to my genitalia. I don't want to be with a man who, I really don't want to be with a man who really would carry, who really would care either way. Now, I know that's not most men. I know most men don't feel that way, but I'm not looking for most men. I'm not looking for most men. I know most men are going to have some variation of their own preference, and I think that is completely fine. I don't judge them for that. I don't think that that's an inherently negative or bad thing. I think that at the end of the day, one sec. I think that at the end of the day, it's just not really fucking worth it for me to go into all that information with a complete stranger. They don't fucking deserve any piece of my medical history. They really, truly, and honestly don't. And so, it was just kind of it was just a little upsetting. It's a little upsetting to me sometimes to get those messages, but not really, because I feel like a lot of those men, they're already telling me that they're not what I want. So my big thing is, why not just keep to yourself? Why not just keep to yourself? Like, I'm very open on my profile, not because I'm ashamed of any. Well, I'm very open on my profile because I like to save my fucking time, right? I'm not going to waste time with you and like go on a date with you without you knowing that I'm trans, and then have, I'm just not doing that, right? So I don't know. I like to save my time. Why not you save your time and just not send me these messages? I don't get it. Anyway. And then his last message, like, I sent him a bunch of messages. He was like, all right, I'm upset. All right. Ha ha ha. I am nowhere near upset. And yeah, sorry you're not open about yourself and closed off to the world. That's fine with me. Rolf, get woke. If you don't like it, stop messaging. You obviously aren't open to curious thought and talking about certain things. Be that way. You see, first of all, you can't even speak proper English, and you want me to tell you about my genitalia. Like, this is what, like, I told him, like, I said to him, like, see, there's a certain degree of entitlement in your first message. You asked an incredibly personal question, and you're upset that I don't want to offer you my surgical history. You wouldn't ask most people about their surgeries, but somehow I'm supposed to give you my information about my body and do it with a smile. You didn't even try to have a conversation with me. That's just, I don't know. I don't get it. Because to me, it's obvious that the first message you send to someone shouldn't be, what's your dick look like? What are you into? Like, I just feel like that's obvious. You don't usually say that to people. You're broke, you can't speak English, and you work in the weed industry, dude. Like, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. Plus, and also you're 25. And you look really short. So, Anyway, I think I ranted about this enough. I've really ranted about this into oblivion. How long have we been here? We've been here for like 2 hours. I'm going through shit, but I'll be okay. I'll be here for an hour and 14 minutes. I'll be okay. Enough shit will work itself out. So I'm not that. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.